You just heard KwaZulu-Natal Premier Sihle Zikalala is expected to lead the provincial government's disaster relief efforts and will assess the extent of the damage caused by the latest flood disasters that left a path of destruction over the weekend. Premier Zikalala, together with members of the Executive Council, eThekwini Municipality leadership and councillors, will visit areas including the Bluff, uMdloti and Westbrook, where residents had to be evacuated after heavy rains caused damage to homes and infrastructure. SABC News reporter Simphiwe Makhanya joins us now live. A very good morning to you, Simphiwe. The extent of the latest damage, what have you assessed so far?
Well, good morning to you, Desra, and good morning to the viewers as well at home. We are certainly coming to you live from uMdloti. This is the first stop that will be visited by the provincial executive in assessing the damage that has been caused by the last weekend's flood. Let me just step out of the shot and ask my colleague Ndabezintli Khumalo just to give our viewers a sense in terms of the damage, that has been suffered by the, people of this area where we are in uMdloti. We understand that hundreds of people have been, evacuated from their homes following these heavy rains, and we are going to be getting the latest in terms of the current situation that is unfolding when it comes to the issue of the relief that is going to be provided to those people. Let us now speak to the provincial government spokesperson, that's Mr. Lennox Mabaso, who's going to give us an update in terms of the situation as it is on the ground. Mr. Mabaso, thank you very much for your time. Just in terms of the latest update with regards to this situation that is facing the province of KwaZulu-Natal.
Well, as you will know, we've been lashed by these second storms in the last 48 hours. Today, the Premier of the province, Premier Sihle Zikalala, and members of the Executive Council and all disaster teams will be here, and they're already here. They're up the road conducting assessments of the damage and also interacting with residents that have been affected. They will then be ensuring that government is able to mount a response to this situation. Already you can see disaster teams are starting to work. We are here is the waterworks that has been disrupted. They are trying to work and connect whatever they can connect. Of course, it is a three-phase response to the disaster, which is starting with the humanitarian support, which is what we are at this point in time. When the Premier gives a briefing during the course of today, when he briefs the media, he will then update on all developments that have happened in the last 48 hours when Premier Sihle Zikalala give an update.
But as it is now, Mr. Mabaso, do we know how many people have been affected, have been forced to leave their homes as a result of this flood? Well,
what we know at this point in time that we have been involved and active in terms of evacuations and responding to a number of situations. In terms of the overall situation and preliminary impact, that will be given by the Premier when he addresses you later today.
Have there been any fatalities this time around?
Well, at this point in time, there is nothing that I can deny or confirm. But as I say, when an update is being given, we'll then know exactly. There were reports that concerning reports that were received, but the Premier, when he does the update, will be able to get a full picture of what happened. Whether you will know that whether that was related, I think it's related to flood disasters or other incidents. But there will be some report that will be given today by the Premier and the Executive Council.
What sort of assistance are you giving to those people who have been affected, those who are staying in community halls as a result of these floods? The issue of water, the issue of food has, been raised in the previous floods. People saying that they are not getting the assistance that they require.
Well, as I indicated earlier on, in terms of disaster response, we have a three-phase approach. The first phase is always humanitarian support, which includes relief, evacuations, ensuring that people are able to be supported with dignified packs, immediate needs that they require. They are able to be sheltered temporarily. Those are some of the first line response mechanisms that we have, and that's what will be undertaken. And then the second phase begin to be about the restoration of service. As you can see in this particular area, it looks like some services have been disrupted and they will have to be restored, and also begin to deal with the issue of how people are able to be rehoused better. And then the third phase become the long-term phase of a long-term rebuilding. process and building back better, which is a deadline approach. So this is a phase approach that will be responded to. Of course, these recent rains happening in the last 24 hours were compounding a situation that is already dire, as you'll know that we barely recovered from the April floods. So, and we're trying to reconstruct and rebuild from that process. And now the cold front was indicated, and it did arrive, and also it left a trail of destruction in its wake. So Premier Sihle Zikalala and the executive and mayors of eThekwini and councillors were all on the ground with the disaster team to make sure that we are able to respond to the situation.
During the April floods, Mr. Mabaso, the national government made an announcement, or a commitment rather, to say that they will be, providing funds to assist, the province in terms of the rebuilding efforts and also assisting those who have been impacted by the floods. This time around, where is the money going to come from, and also has that money been made available to the province?
Well, we have responded adequately to that question, and there's work continuing. Work being done is done with money, and it is money that comes from national government, national fiscal. South Africa has got one source of funding. It comes from the national treasury under Minister Enoch Godongwana. So the rebuilding, the reconstruction, and all the work that is being done is done with money. The mechanisms that exist in government and systems, those who work in government understand them. The most important thing is that there is work that is being done, and it is being done with money of the government to rebuild the province of KwaZulu-Natal.
So in short, Mr. Mabaso, you are saying that 1 billion rand, which was promised by the national government, has been made available?
What I'm saying is that within the available systems, national government has never reneged on the commitment to make money available, and they've indicated that money is available, and they've allowed provinces to reprioritize their budget to spend in the interim, because there's an active situation, there's a live situation on the ground that we have to respond to, and they were responding to. As we indicated, that the government systems are always it's the same, and the same processes, and there's never been a problem, and there's no crisis.
Thank you very much for your time.
Thank you.
That's Mr. Lennox Mabaso, who speaks on behalf of the KwaZulu-Natal Provincial Government, giving us a clearer picture there in terms of the situation unfolding on the ground. I can certainly tell you that a lot of infrastructure has been affected. I'm going to step out of the shot once more to give our viewers a sense of the current situation. Disaster teams are on the ground as we speak, trying to provide relief to those affected residents of KwaZulu-Natal, and also provide assistance in terms of food and other items such as mattresses and so on. We did hear from the Department of Education yesterday issuing a statement to say that learners must go to school if it is safe to do so, given the circumstances that the province finds itself in. Desiree?
Simphiwe, just in terms of public assistance, if people wanted to help, is there a coordinated effort?
Certainly there is, Desiree, and I can tell you that a short while ago we've been receiving calls from some NGOs trying to put together some assistance in terms of trying to assist those who have been affected by these floods, and that assistance will come in very handy, Desiree, because you'd recall that a lot of people are still being accommodated in community halls following these floods, but also they're finding themselves in this situation now where they require further assistance.
I hope in our next crossing you can give us the details thereof, just in case of where people can send through whether food or clothing or any form of assistance that's available. Simphiwe Makhanya there accompanying Premier Sihle Zikalala. Will continue to cross through to him.